Hey, it's Eric Rokeach from Fitness Business Interviews, and I'm here today with Mr. AJ Roberts, and we're doing a short power interview. And I invited AJ basically to come on for a few reasons. The first one is the dude is a complete badass, owns a serious world record, and we're going to dive into talk about that for a little bit. He's changed some major things in his life, which is a really interesting story. I want to cover that also. And three, he knows a thing or two about, I guess, fitness business and marketing, that he's going to share some of his experience with us. And so, AJ, man, thanks for being here. I really appreciate it.
Well, man, pleasure to be on. Glad to be talking to you.
All right, so let's dive into the world record thing first, because
Yeah.
people are always interested in world record. Tell everybody what that is, kind of how it came about, and what that's all about.
Yeah, so it's actually all started 10 years ago when I walked in to a gym in Spokane, Washington to train with a world record holder called Brent Mikesell. Walked in, and one of the things he asked me is what I wanted to do in the sport of powerlifting, and I just straight up told him, I want to be a world record holder. So he laid the foundation for me, told me what I need to do, and I followed that path for 10 years. Like I said, I ended up in Columbus, Ohio at the famous West Side Barbell under the tutelage of Louis Simmons, who I probably in my mind is one of the greatest strength coaches ever, if not the greatest ever. And just basically day in, day out, trained for the purpose of setting the world record. And then in March 2011, I broke the all-time total world record. I totaled 28.25 via, I think it was 1140 squat, 870 something bench, and an 815 deadlift. So I forget what the numbers exactly were because it was the total that I was going for. And then since then, I lifted more. I finished with a 1205 squat, which is the biggest squat ever at Westside, and a 910 bench press. So those are my best numbers, and then the best total was 28.55. I actually reset the world record 3 times in 2011 before I finally lost it to the Finn who I broke it from, and now actually Dave Hoff from Westside Barbell reclaimed that record for us. It's back on American soil, back for Westside. But actually in March earlier this year, 2012. I squatted the 1205, and that was my last meet. I decided that it was time to head a different direction in life. So
Why?
I'd been, like I said, 10 years to get to the world record, and I held that for close to a year. And in the sport of powerlifting, there isn't much of a reward other than the self-satisfaction of those numbers. And what I had to do to get there, the sacrifice, the dedication, and in all reality, letting my health and wellness slip in order to chase those bigger numbers and increase the body weight. I was up at 320 pounds, and mass moves mass. Strength is strength, but the bigger you get, the stronger you get, no doubt. And I was always one of those guys where, I was in full force. So if I was going to do something, it was all out. There was no restrictions to me. So knowing that I could gain weight to gain strength, I always pushed the boundaries there. And I just got to a point where, coming from a sports science background, being involved in the health and fitness industry and working with so many people, it just got to a point where, I didn't want to do that anymore for a goal, to chase a goal that basically I'd already achieved what I set out to do. My initial goals were always to set a world record to squat 1200. My actual bench goals was only 800, and my deadlift goal was 800. So I far exceeded what I ever planned to do on some of those things. And it just got to a point where, I'd always said crazy things, and people had always thought I was a little nutty, but I had all this belief in myself, and I knew I could achieve it. And when the things people were saying to me started sounding a little crazy, and I stopped believing that, I knew that it was time for that switch. I knew that, unless you have utter self-confidence and self-belief in yourself, you're not going to get to those goals. And so they became other people's goals and not my goals. And so, I decided to take a step back, and I knew the only way to do that would be to leave Westside, and, get a new focus so that I could, regain my health and kind of get a new direction in life.
All right. So how old were you when you broke it the first time?
So what I mean, I was just about to turn 26. So
you got success on the physical side of things. You set world records, before the age of 30. You got all these things that you're doing, and now you've kind of hit this point where you're like, all right, well, I want to change. Where do you go from there? You set some world records. You're moving some heavy ass weight. You're doing some really cool things. Like, what's next? I guess let's talk about the physical side of things, and we'll talk about business. So what's next on the health physical side of things?
Yeah, so on the physical side, my goal was to lose weight. And so me being the extremist I am, I just basically said I'm going to lose 100 pounds. I had no idea, what I was going to do, how I was going to do it. And, I had the opportunity to move out to San Diego. So I moved from Columbus, Ohio to San Diego. We can get into that a little bit later, what brought me out here. But being out here, the owner of the CrossFit Games, Dave Castro, lives here. And having done the powerlifting seminars for CrossFit and being involved in that, we got to talking, and he invited me to a couple of baseball games to hang out with him. So we were basically hanging out, and his wife asked me if I ever thought about doing CrossFit. And I attended the regionals when I was in Columbus and watched that, and I thought it was a really fascinating sport and looked a lot of fun. I kind of consider it the MMA of fitness, in the sense that it brings all these different domains together as far as Olympic lifting and strongman and powerlifting. And I really see it as a sport. And so, I said to her that I'd thought about it, but I needed to get in shape. Having gone to the games and seen these guys, they're like 200 pounds, just completely shredded, dominating, right, strong. Then they're not skinny, scrawny guys. These are big, muscular dudes. I knew that, if I wanted to do something like that, I'd need to be in pretty decent shape. But she kind of laughed at me and challenged me and basically said that was the dumbest thing she ever heard, and that, CrossFit is the means to the end. So, I decided to just kind of jump in full force in that. And, the cool thing with it is, for me, is that having the goal to compete in the CrossFit Games makes the weight loss a byproduct of that. So where I'm very competitively driven, having that as my focus, trying to get to a level that I can compete, the weight loss has been going, has just happened as a byproduct. And I haven't been, had to focus on that so much where, I'm measuring my food and counting the hours in the gym, and, I'm watching my performance increase weekly on different things that, I haven't played with for so long going into powerlifting. And then now applying the knowledge I gained from the strength training and that to CrossFit. It's just been a phenomenal journey. And, we were talking before we started recording here. I've been doing it for about 5 months now. I've lost close. I was 320. I just weighed myself this morning. I was 250.4. So, close to just under 70 pounds. And about 40 of that has came, relatively, as I got into CrossFit, the first 30 kind of was just a slow loss, and then the remainder has come pretty fast. So cool. The goal is to drop down into as low as I can go and see where we're at. But it's just that new direction, that new focus, and the same principles apply as they did for powerlifting. Show up every day. My nutrition, watch my nutrition, make sure, that I'm rest, recover, all those different principles. It's just now focused on a different sport, which, has allowed me to get in shape. And not only that, it's recaptured my love for the health and fitness industry. Just being around fitness professionals, going to these different conferences. I'm back teaching the powerlifting cert for CrossFit, and getting to meet all the different coaches. It's just, re-sparked that flame, I guess. And reminded me why I got into the industry in the first place and why it's such an amazing industry to be involved in. Cool.
Let's step back a little bit on it now. You talked about the move out to San Diego and the change there, which I'm sure was a big catalyst for all of this new spark back into this side of things. So talk about that. Tell me why San Diego, what's going on, life, business, outside of the physical health stuff.
So San Diego is a place that I've had a love affair with since I was like 16 years old. I came out here in high school and pretty much have came back almost every year. It's my paradise, so to speak. And so I always knew that I wanted to end up here. And for anyone who sits down and writes their life goals, where they want to be, I always considered it a place I would retire. California is not a cheap state to live in. And, I just could never see myself just moving here. And so after the powerlifting, got to a point where it's like, why not? I was flying out here to meet with different clients quite regularly, and the opportunity came out working with one of the top internet marketers to come out and work with him out here. And so, long story short, we were able to make it happen. And so, I've always jumped on opportunities when they've arose in my life. Like, I find that a lot of people want opportunities, but when they present themselves, they shy away. I don't know if it's the fear they face or the commitment they have to make. But for me, I've always jumped on those opportunities. I've moved around the country quite a bit. And, when this opportunity came up, I jumped at it and transplanted myself here in San Diego, and, essentially just started building the life that I had envisioned I would retire to, but building it now. And why wait, and kind of, Tim Ferriss's New Age approach, where we live our lives, to enjoy our lives and build that around what we're passionate about. And I got to do that. So I came out here, worked with some of the top internet marketers out here, and been here now since April, so about 6-7 months.
Okay. Now, obviously, you kind of learned the ropes back in the fitness industry, For people who don't know you, I guess kind of talk about how what you do, how you're helping these internet marketers and how that started, because that's kind of built the foundation for what's coming next.
Absolutely, yeah. So I was very blessed and fortunate. I was running my own gym, and wasn't being very successful. I didn't know the business side. I was very confident on getting results and that kind of thing. And so I actually started working with Pat Rigsby and Nick Berry, and ended up going out to Kentucky and first running a personal training department for them, and eventually running the entire health club for them. And then from there, they had the fitness consulting group, and I got involved with that. And before I really fell in love with the marketing side, I realized that was like the catalyst that really fueled the growth and success of the companies. And so I was with them for quite a while. And in that time, we acquired and built, I think, about a dozen different businesses, 6- and 7-figure businesses. And so, I was a student of marketing, and then, I had those two amazing guys to be working with. And, we got to change a lot of lives and see a lot of progress. And then, I decided that I was really passionate about the marketing side of the business. And when they, started, I think they have their 2 franchises now. We split and went our separate ways, and I decided to go into marketing and go into the real world of that. It was kind of one of those thought processes where, I was struggling with figuring out my hobby was fitness, and then my passion, was marketing, and how do I combine those two? And so, I separated them for almost 2 years, and dove into the real marketing world as far as that side of the industry, and worked with various top internet marketers, helping them grow and improve their business and their brands. And so not only did I get to learn from them, but I got to apply the stuff that I started in the fitness industry over there, and come up with the different systems basically to grow their company, the different marketing campaigns and things like that. And it's funny because I started out really as a tech guy, like I knew how to build websites and stuff like that.
Right.
But now, like, I don't do any of that stuff. Like, I'm more of the creative and visionary type guy, and then the implementation comes from different teams we've set up with those individuals. They have their own teams. Some have in the Philippines, some have over here in America. And so what that allowed me to do is speed of implementation. We're able to fire and get things out quicker because I'm not the one doing everything.
Right.
And so combining that, I started to see a pattern basically that the same things can be applied. And I suddenly got to a point where I was like, you know what, like, why have I separated the 2 things I'm most passionate about? And I need to put those things back together. And so, I just made the decision to come back and come back to the fitness industry, I guess, on that kind of level, and start sharing kind of what I learned, because I realized there's a big need for it. A lot of people, don't have the opportunity or the time to go to the different events or meet the
Right.
different I have. And so, I just decided to jump in the deep end and help those who are ready to kind of step up to that next level and kind of become industry leaders and separate themselves from every other trainer on the block. So
Okay.
that's what I've decided to jump back into, and I'm really looking forward to getting back involved and going to the different industry events and just hanging out with my people, I guess, the
Right.
people.
Right. All right. Now, I want to provide them a little bit of, content for everybody who's watching or listening to this. I want to make sure, people are going to get some cool tips out of this. And so you've been on the internet marketing side, both on the heavy marketing side and the fitness side of things. Can you list off just a few tips or something that are going to be really that could really help somebody who's trying to start out? Let's say they got a fitness business, maybe they're trying to get online. What are some just really good tips that you could pass to them that'll help put them on the right path to get started?
The biggest thing, the first, you need to know exactly what it is they want to do. What I mean by that is they have to have a clear vision of who it is they want to help and what do they want to provide. So whether that be an expertise in fat loss, whether that be an expertise in kettlebells
Mm-hmm.
or some bands, whatever it is, you have to know that you're the absolute expert in it. And that comes, I think, from getting results. A lot of trainers. If they want to step up, they need to make getting the results that they're offering. You got to be able to practice what you preach, so to speak. And you do that by first being a student, but then applying what you learn. You can't always be a student. You have to step up at some point and start sharing, and getting those results. And so once you've got those results, it's just a case of packaging your knowledge, and showcasing the results you've gotten in a simple way. And there's many ways you can do that. But to me, I always try to get people to give as much as they possibly can, because when they do that, they find that what comes back is a phenomenal result. And so for someone who's trying to get started, once they've established what their principles are, what their training methods are, it's just a case of sharing that with others and getting other people to believe in what you're teaching. And so you may have to start with a beta group if you don't already have results, but if you already have results from clients and stuff, you already have your foundation. And then once you have that in place, it's just simple. You can get video recorders for next to nothing. You can write, depending on however you can produce content the easiest. That's what you go with. And then the biggest thing I see where people aren't getting results is just they're not getting in front of other people. And so
Yeah.
that's the daily hustle, and that comes from just being willing to go out every day and say, how am I going to get in front of someone today? Is it reaching out and contacting someone with a blog, getting a hold of someone at the local newspaper? Is it writing an article? Is it doing press releases? What I can do to get in front of some new people today? And I think that's the biggest thing that separates those who are having success and those who are not. It's not information they're sharing. It's not their ability to deliver. It's their ability to every day in front of new people, and network, communicate, and provide whatever it is people are looking for. And so that's the big challenge people seem to have. And so hopefully we can start showing people how to do that at a level that is isn't 20-hour days where
Yeah.
their family don't see their kids, all that stuff. It's figuring out a way to do it with balance so that they can have the lifestyle they want as well as the business they want. And it's about getting them to a point where they're confident and comfortable enough that they don't have to work in the gym if they don't want to. Not saying that they shouldn't, but they don't want to be a slave to the gym in there, from 6 a.m. till 6 p.m. training clients nonstop, and then going home and trying to do this on the side. We want to get them to that point. And so I think those are some things people need to realize. So that it comes from the results first, packaging the content, and then getting in front of other people. If you do those three things, there's no reason why you can't rise to the top. And I think that there's some people out there who are ready to do that, ready to step up. And they kind of given a little push.
Yeah. Now, let me ask you about this, because this is something a lot of people in the industry go through when they're, I guess, trying to get in line or build it. A lot of time they do spend a ton of time just behind the computer hoping they're filling out content and things are working. How important is it to actually have the connections, maybe the network, to kind of help push you to the level that you need to be at? Can you do it without a network is basically kind of what I'm saying?
Well, that's a great question. So when I first was in the industry, I used to think that the connections were everything, and that's all that kind of mattered. And then getting into the internet marketing industry, and meet, I got to meet so many new business owners. And then I'm actually involved in a group called Maverick 1000, which is run by Yannick Silver, and there's over 100, I think 154 seven-figure business owners in there, and the majority of them use like paid traffic to get their new clients. And so they're doing it without any JVs, without any networks. They're just basically spending money to make money, and they're doing it on a large scale. And it's funny because if you look at like the top marketers in the fitness industry, the Mike Gearys, the John Benson, those guys, they don't run product launches. They do have some affiliate traffic, but most of their traffic they generate for themselves is off of paid leads. And so, that was something that I learned pretty fast and have utilized and used. But that's the beauty. You don't have to have any connections in order to create some noise in the marketplace. And what you'll find is once you start to generate that buzz and you have the clients, those people you want to be connected to will either seek you out, or you'll be able to connect with them a lot easier and work together. And so for me, I think if you're willing to do all of these things, that's the combination, right? For me, when I was training for the world record, lifting weights every day wasn't the only thing I had to focus on. I had to focus on my nutrition, my rest of my recovery. I had to make sure that the rest of my life was in order, to make sure that when I was in the gym, I was focused and training, and it's the same if you're trying to build if you're trying to become an industry leader or build an empire as far as based on your knowledge. It's not just the connections that are going to get you there. You have to have the connections, you have to have the knowledge on the paid traffic, or be willing to pay someone to do it for you. You don't have to do everything yourself, which is the beauty. You have to produce the content and be a content creator. You have to go speak when those opportunities arrive. And so it's a combination of these things that allow you to progress. And the great thing is, and there's so many events you can go and network with. The connections is the easy part almost. And the problem is most people make these connections, but they don't have anything to offer. And so there's a lot of people who will go to an event and meet me, and I say, oh, what do you do? And I'm working on this, or I'm doing this. They don't actually have anything. And until you have something to share, a product or a video or something, until you can provide content to the community, those connections are almost no good. And so that's why that, it's good to have them, but at the same time, if you don't have them, it doesn't matter. There's other avenues you can exploit to start to build that business, to generate that revenue. And, if you're going into a niche where there's not a lot of people to compete against, or work with, it's going to be difficult to build a connection if there's not that many professionals serving that industry, or doing having, info products. If you're getting with a software company or something like that, that relationship might not even serve a purpose beyond a business working relationship. And it might not bring new clients, but, you have to have something to offer in the first place. And so, absolutely, without connections, you can do it. Connections do help, especially because usually those you surround yourself with are going to be a reflection of what you can do, and you can often lean on those connections in order for advice and to point you in the right direction. And so there's more just them, promoting you. A lot of people, I think, abuse the connection thing, or try to. They just want to be promoted. And it's not always about that. Like, I've been friends with nearly everyone in the fitness industry, and I can only count a handful of times that I've asked for promotion. A lot of times I've been helping them or giving advice or talked with them, and it's not at all from a place of I don't want anything in to come back to me. I'm just doing it because I'm passionate about the industry. I want to help others, And I know that at some point that maybe I'll need their help, or maybe they'll see fit to help me, and it will come back. And so, I think you just build that foundation around you, and it definitely helps. But like I said, you don't have to have it to get started at all. There's lots of experts out there who pop up on the scenes, and then you find out they've been around for 5 to 10 years with a huge following. You just haven't heard of them. They haven't been on your radar,
Right. One thing before we dive into what you got coming up and what you're going on, you said something, we talked about you don't need the connections. You talked about advertising before. You can do that. You can make a really great living. Obviously, the big guys do that. A lot of guys in the fitness industry who are starting out don't have the funds or are afraid to advertise. They don't know how. So this is the other side of the coin. What can they do to kind of at least start spreading the word and getting stuff out there if they don't maybe have the funds or are afraid to advertise?
So the biggest thing that people fail to do is in advertising. A lot of times they'll buy new info products or new gadgets or gizmos in the hope that will work. New software. Right. They'll pay for a new website. They'll put all these things in front of themselves and not be able to get any money in the door. And so the biggest thing is to figure out, what can I do today to bring money in? Okay. And so if you already have a facility and you already have clients and you already have, people who are no longer clients, you can start there. And bring money in from them. Maybe you have people on month to month that you could offer a discount if they do paid in full. Maybe you have previous clients, you can start a reactivation campaign, and just pick up the phone and call those people. Once you get some money coming in, then you have to have that commitment to take a percentage of that and reinvest it in the advertising. And so at first you might start small. If you only are bringing in, say, $100 a day or something, you can turn around and say, okay, out of that 100, I'm going to spend 50% on my advertising. But then as that goes up, because assuming the advertising is going to work, as that goes up, that budget's going to increase, and that's how most of these guys do it. They start with a specific budget and then increase as it goes. And so it's just a case of figuring out, what will that $50 a day get me? Is it, am I going to try some Facebook ads? Am I going to try for pay-per-click? Am I going to go to a local newspaper and run an ad in there? How much is a local radio spot? And then, you can, from that, you can also figure out, how do I get in these places for free? You can bargain with different people, especially locally. You can bargain, allow them to come train for free, or certain amount of sessions for free, however you're structured. And so I think the point that people miss is the hustle. If you don't have any money to spend on advertising, all you have is you. And you got to get out and start either meeting people, or greeting people, or showing people what you offer. And if that means that you go to the mall and walk around and just randomly walk up to 100 people that day and tell them who you are, say you're new in the community, then that's what you got to do. And I think that if people did that versus sitting in front of the computer and tweaking their website, or writing a blog post for no followers, they haven't yet built that following, and spent that time picking up the phone or going and meet people, they're really surprised. And then the other thing I think that I've seen, and it's a little worrying, but I don't think it's from people purposely doing it. I just think it's kind of how a lot of people get is, you need to care about your clients as if they're your children. And what I mean by that is, like, you should know exactly, I don't care how many clients you have, but you should know exactly, or your trainers should know, depending on who's directly involved with them, exactly what their goals is, or their strength goal is, exactly where in the journey, how much they've lost to date. You need to know all these things. You should know what's going on in their personal life that may be affecting it. You should just care about people. And when you do that, that is going to really change the way, because you're going to be not only sought out, but there's going to be an energy, and that is, when you meet people, and if you truly care about whether you can help them or not, that energy is sensed from them, and they come in. And so, it's just a case of hustling and then truly caring. You've got to want every single person to come through to succeed, and you got to be willing to do whatever it takes to help succeed. Too many coaches like take money and think about how do I get more people in versus taking money and thinking about how can I get results. And because getting more people in is always great, but it comes naturally when your results speak for themselves. Right. If you're a coach and you don't know the first name of every one of your clients, you don't know what their goals are, and you don't know where they're at in the journey, if you start there, you'll be surprised at how quickly your business will turn around. So, that's just my opinion and what I've kind of been observing. So I know there's great coaches out there who know all that stuff and they're doing really good, and, it's power to them. So
very cool. All right. So what I want to do is you're obviously sharing some really good information, but there's obviously more that you have to share. We could sit here literally hours and probably go back and forth because we connect real well with this stuff. But I want you to tell people kind of about what you have going on, that maybe this is something that could help them if they're interested. And tell us how it's different.
Yeah. So, I was going to wait a little longer, and then my mentor challenged me to come out and hold this event as soon as possible. So I'm putting an event together called Big Money Fitness. And basically what it is, it's for those who are ready to step up and become industry leaders. We're going to spend 3 days together in Las Vegas. And basically I'm going to show them everything they need to know in order to start building that empire that I was talking about. And everything from building the connections to launching the products to doing paid advertising, but more so about building that business they want to suit their lifestyle. So what I've found, really powerful is the seminar and certification model. And so I'm going to show them how to start doing that to build a tribe. But beyond that, really, like, the great thing is I'm not waiting until the event to start sharing with information with them. We're getting started right away. And so, I haven't done much promotion for it. I haven't done a sales page and none of that, because I want to make sure that the people coming are 100% dedicated and they're ready to go right out of the gate. And so basically, I'm only looking for about 9 people, and we're about, actually I think I have about 5 right now, so I'm only looking for about 4 more people to close out. Really, it's different from anything that's going on. It's going to be super intensive. There's no 50 speakers and everyone talking about different stuff. And this is really focused. It's not necessarily on the gym stuff. So we're not going to be talking about necessarily how to build their gym business up, but it's going to be how to build a business. If they want to include the gym, I'm going to show them the business model that does that. But basically how to become an industry leader, how to speak on the stages they want to speak on, how to get the tribe they want to get, and how to get other people to believe in them and to push them as the experts and the industry leaders. So, what we're putting together is pretty powerful. We got some great people already signed up, and if anyone's interested, they can just reach out to me via Facebook. It's just facebook.com AJ Roberts, or email me ajroberts1234@gmail.com.
Okay, and for anybody who is interested, what are the dates?
So it's the January 22nd and 24th in Las Vegas. So yeah, we could talk about that when they reach out.
Cool. So if anybody's interested and they want to connect more, learn more about it, obviously go to the AJ, connect with them on Facebook. Say your URL again, just so people know.
It's facebook.com/AJ Roberts.
Pretty simple. Well, AJ, man, appreciate you coming on, sharing some really cool tips, your story, which is always really interesting. I love hearing about that stuff. And dude, seriously, good luck with everything you got going on.
Yeah, thanks, man. And hopefully we'll be talking soon.